Recently, I was scrolling YouTube like the average lazy person when I stumbled upon an interesting video. It was by the creator Suprapika, and the video was titled Bad Parts in Good Games. This intrigued me, so I watched it and it was really good. So now I'm choosing to steal it. Today I felt like going over the worst parts of my favorite games, because why not? Supra's video went into the game mechanics more than just story sections. However, I'm just going to stick to portions of the game I dread to go back to on replays. I just find these parts either annoying, boring, or just worse compared to the rest of the package it's attached to. Of course, that's not always a bad thing. Some of these sections were only included because I had nothing else to pick, and it just offers less of the fun in the rest of the game. We'll be seeing that a bit here, so I guess be prepared for that. Also, feel free to make fun of my video game taste. Yes, most of this is Nintendo. I grew up with them and still like their output, even if their business practices suck. I will take all making fun of if it occurs. Just don't go overboard, I guess. I don't know. Thanks to Suprapika for the inspiration, and so without any more delay, let's begin with the first game on the list. I debated putting Mario Kart World as one of my favorite games. However, the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much I really do adore it. If I weren't going over specific portions of the game, I'd probably point to the battle mode for being awful, but we'll talk about something else. I could mention the Shell Cup for just having an all-around awful selection of tracks, but I instead want to discuss a section of the map. That section being the bottom right corner. This portion of the map includes so many tracks I'm either just not too fond of, or tracks I actively despise playing on. Peach Beach is my least favorite course in the entire game, without a doubt. An absolutely abysmal remake that takes an already boring track in past games and somehow makes it even more boring with simple straight lines you glide through in an awfully long water section that isn't fun in the slightest. The most enjoyment I get out of the track is this little town section. However, it lasts maybe 10 to 15 seconds before you're thrown into another straight line. Other tracks like Salty Speedway or Faraway Oasis I honestly couldn't care for in the slightest. I think they're incredibly boring to race on, and I'm just not a fan of the water controls, which these two tracks use quite a lot. Of course the water would be slippery, but I don't think that makes the controls better. That goes for Wario Shipyard too, which I feel is ruined by how awkward the steering feels atop water. The open world is fun to explore here, but it's that way for every track in the game, besides Koopa Troopa Beach. If I were to give this section of the map anything, it would be Dino Jungle and Great Question Block Ruins, two all-around pretty good tracks. The latter is actually one of my favorites in the entire game. It just sucks that its placement on the map is surrounded by overall mid-courses besides Dino Jungle. At first, I didn't think of Kirby's Return to Dreamland as one of my favorite games, but after a recent replay with my little brother, I'd consider it so. Now, I'd probably include World 3 Onion Ocean for its water controls feeling a little sluggish here. However, I'd actually say World 6 Egg Engines is my least favorite. I sat on this one a bit, hesitant to call it the worst in the game, and in truth it isn't bad. However, it truly highlights the biggest flaw with Kirby's Return to Dreamland: repetitiveness. You play the first level in each world, you've played them all. There's barely much deviation within the designs of these courses. I wouldn't say the issue is that bad due to the fluid and fun controls on display and the reliance on coffee abilities having effects on the environment. However, the main loop begins getting tiring by the 5th world for me. Unfortunately, that's not the end of the game, as there's still Egg Engines and Dangerous Dinner to get through, and while the latter can still feel repetitive, it doesn't last long and each level has some pretty decent difficulty to add a nice change of pace. Egg Engines, on the other hand, feels like it's padding its runtime by the end of level 2. There's still 3 more to go after that. Luckily, the lengths of these courses start to get smaller, however they still feel long and too samey with one another. It also doesn't help that the gimmick of the world, which is the machinery, just isn't that interesting. I guess they do something cool with it with the crusher rooms in one of the last levels, however those are few and far between and don't last long. I'd also like to point out that the water stage in this world is in the running for one of the worst levels in the entire game. I wouldn't say Egg Engines is bad still. Again, the gameplay is still great and collecting the energy spheres is as fun as always, but there aren't enough interesting gimmicks to keep this world from feeling boring. At least the boss is cool. The extra mode's 2 new phases caught me by surprise and is a great moment in the game overall, if you're playing on extra mode. Psychonauts is pretty cool. I love the idea of jumping into people's minds and helping them defeat their inner demons. Raz is a compelling character, and the story with Coach Oleander is nice to see unravel as the game goes on. However, I do feel like there's a bit of a dud when it comes to this game's narrative. Fortunately, it's near the beginning. I'm talking about the segment spanning from the first time you enter the Brain Tumbler all the way to the end of Mia's dance party. I think basic braining is a fantastic first level. It's not challenging, but can still be decently difficult, especially with that meat grinder at the end. However, all difficulty comes to a random halt afterward as you're left to explore the campgrounds. I actually think this is a lot of fun to be able to explore and see the other campers interact with one another. It's only when you find Sasha's lab and he hooks you up to the brain tumbler where the game begins slowing down. I'm not a big fan of the brain tumbler. Its atmosphere isn't that notable and you're pulled out of it multiple times for simple roadblocks like not being able to shoot or levitate. The first time, Raz's inner demon is in the way, so you're pulled out to learn how to shoot in Sasha's mind. Sasha's shooting gallery isn't bad per se, just barely that interesting compared to the rest of the minds in the game. It acts as a tutorial for shooting and fighting, which is alright if the combat wasn't the worst part of Psychonauts. It feels sluggish and far more inferior to the platforming. Speaking of platforming, there's a bit here, but not enough to let the skills you learned in basic braining be put to the test. The boss at the end is cool, and I love the dialogue Sasha has in his mind, but that's about it for the details I like. After that, you're sent back into the brain tumbler where you progress a bit, only to be halted again and be pulled out, this time to enter Mia's mind. While I do enjoy this level more than Sasha's, it's still pretty boring compared to the rest of Psychonauts' lineup. This stage is all about teaching you the levitation ability, which is cool in practice, but it tends to break a good majority of the game's platforming. Oh yeah, I do really like the platforming you do here, and the daycare secret is cool, but other than that, what is there to remember here? The dance party aesthetic is cool, and I guess the race is fun, but that's honestly about it. Mia's dance party just feels more like filler, to be honest. Fortunately, once you leave and re-enter the brain tumbler, you get the game's plot twist and a cool boss fight, which is why this section only goes up to the end of Mia's dance party. Other than that, yeah, kind of a slog after basic braining. Not bad, but could be more interesting. Luckily, the rest of the game is fantastic with its levels. Okay, let's do this one quick. If you've played Sonic Adventure, then you know how much Big Story sucks. The controls aren't fun, he's incredibly slow, the story doesn't leave a lasting impact whatsoever, and honestly feels like filler compared to the rest of the stories. If you haven't played the game, then you wouldn't know how bad Big Section is, so just take my word for it and we'll move on. Sonic Adventure 2 doesn't have a specific bad story due to there only being 3 and each one having something unique to offer, so I just decided to go with the portion of one of the stories, that being the end of the Dark story. Now, this isn't bad, I'd honestly say it's still good, but there are some pretty average or bad stages here. Besides Cosmic Wall, I enjoy that Eggman level a lot, though I'd probably shorten it a little. As for the other levels, Shadow's final chase has a pretty annoying gravity changing mechanic where if you jump on one of the cylinders, Shadow will run up them. It's incredibly janky and can lead to many deaths that don't really feel like your fault. It also doesn't help that this stage is floating above instant death void, so it's best to take it slow, in a speed stage. Rouge's Mad Space, on the other hand, is the worst level in the game. We all know that. The gravity is somehow worse with the controls not being accurate in the slightest to what you're pressing. The hints do whatever this is, and it's way too large for the treasure hunting stage to be fun in the slightest. Good luck getting an A rank on this level if you're going for it. You basically just have to rely on luck most of the time. It also doesn't help that after most of these levels, you have to replay basically the same rival fight as what you did in the hero story. You could argue that some players may experience these before the hero story, but come on, who's playing the dark story before the hero? Again, not a bad finale to the dark plotline, but could be better. This may be a hot take, but I honestly think the worst portion of Pikmin 2 is the Valley of Repose. I'm not just talking about the incredibly long tutorial either, by the way. I'm bringing up the entire area. The tutorial is pretty bad, especially compared to the first games. I get they wanted to introduce the new mechanics like treasures and 2 captains, but I feel like the yapping and cutscenes could have been lessened. Luckily, that only lasts maybe 15 to 20 minutes, which is still absolutely absurd, but at least it isn't as bad as Pikmin 4. As for when you revisit for more treasure, the biggest flaw here I'd say are the dungeons. First, the overworld is fine. It's overflowing with these caterpillar enemies, which I hate, but that's just because of a skill issue on my part. The dungeons, though, are just long for the sake of being long, and if I can be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of how long these feel. Like, you get through 3 sublevels, and you've seen a good majority of what the cave has to offer. I'm not saying dungeons should be 3 levels long, looking at you, Pikmin 4. I'm just saying that the length isn't justified enough with its gameplay. It just feels like I'm doing the same thing every sublevel, whether that's hiding my Pikmin from whatever hell spawn will show up next or farming purple Pikmin in one cave. Oh yeah, this shouldn't really be a point against the Valley of Repose, but I don't care. The purple Pikmin being easiest to farm here makes the subterranean complex more boring in my opinion, since it's the only thing I can think of regarding that dungeon. I know I've said this a lot already, but it's not bad. I still have my fun managing my squad of Pikmin, but I'd honestly rather be in the perplexing pool or just somewhere else. Okay guys, no one get mad at me, but I think the worst section of Deltarune is the second sanctuary in Chapter 4. I get it, cool music and cool visuals due to Susie's perception after making a dark world. However, compared to what the rest of the game and chapter in that matter has to offer, I don't know, I just can't remember much of this place. A lot of it feels like it's just chasing Susie down while she tries to learn of the prophecy, which is okay, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't help too much gameplay-wise. The boss fight against the statue old man is also really boring, I'm sorry. It's more story and character narrative driven, and it's also heavily mogged by the Gerson secret boss later. The cutscene with Rouse at the end is really great though, I really enjoy it. Overall, I don't really have much to say. As always, it's not bad, it's good. I just care less about it than other parts of the game, so far at least. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is another unexpected pick for one of my favorites, but man, the battling and strategy is addicting, and I can say the same thing for Sparks of Hope. Replaying the game co-op with my little brother earlier this year really opened my eyes to how fantastic the games are, which is why we're here now with the first in the series. Where's Sparks of Hope? I think it's inferior to Kingdom Battle, sorry. Anyway, the first half of World 4 Lava Pit is so unfair. Don't get me wrong, I do like difficult games. Cuphead is one of my all-time favorites, which I'm now realizing I didn't put on this list. It's not that the difficulty is the problem, it's how the difficulty is made. So in World 1, you encounter a new enemy during the second half called Smashers, which only have a melee attack, similar to Mario's hammer. They also move every time you attack them. If they get right next to you, they can do a ton of damage. These guys are the biggest threats in the entire game, right next to bucklers. And that's not even including the status effects they inflict on your party members. World 2, they inflict Bounce, World 3, they inflict Vamp, and World 4, they inflict Ink. For anyone not in the know, Ink prevents you from attacking if you're affected with it, effectively making your turn useless during some battles. Bucklers also inflict Ink too, but they're not in the first half of the lava pit, so I don't care. Anyway, how do the Smashers relate to the first half? They are spammed to death in battles. It's not that bad for the first few chapters, but then you get to the tough get going where they're everywhere. You may just think to target them, but most often than not, that takes an entire turn from your whole party to do because they have over 500 HP. The worst is this one battle where every time you move to a new area on the field, a new Smasher spawns in. So you could have a wave of them chasing you every turn. This one defeat all battle spawns you on top of a platform with zero cover and a Smasher below. So either you waste a turn up there to take out the Smasher and then be open to other enemy attacks, or you figure something else out. Combined with the Ink effect, Smashers are an absolute nightmare. Now I do think this half of World 4 is unfair, but I do think it's still good. The Smashers just ruined it a bit. The Mecha Jr. fight is pretty fun, even if he's overpowered and immediately after another fight. I think Chapter 4's battles are two of the best in the entire game due to their wide battlefield and enemy varieties. And the music is top notch here, not only in battle, but also in the overworld. Grant Kirkhope's Exploring the Mine is one of my favorites, easily. Out of anything you'll see in this video, I'd honestly say this is the least bad, simply because I think the battling is still fun, even with the unfair Smashers. You can work around them in interesting ways, and to be fair, it is a strategy game. Still, maybe over 500 health wasn't a good idea, Ubisoft. Mario 64, one of my favorite 3D platformers ever. It fortunately keeps up a good quality throughout most of its runtime, up until the third floor where things start getting a little out of control. There are two main stages and two sub-levels. First, we can talk good things. I think TikTok Clock is a fun stage. It isn't fun anymore when you fall all the way down and have to climb back up, especially during the 100 coin or Thwomp Star. However, I think it offers a really good challenge for one of the final levels in the game. Bowser in the Sky is also great. It includes almost every enemy in the game, like it's one final test before you face Bowser for the last time. The platforming is good and can be challenging in some areas. My only complaint with this Bowser stage is the absurd hiding spots for a few of the red coins. This one in particular, the one under the bridge is okay though. As for the other two levels, oh boy. Let's talk about Wing Mario Over the Rainbow first. It's similar to that one Wing Cap mini level from the castle lobby, except this time there's actual clouds to stand on and it's an actual level. I'm actually not a huge fan of the Wing Cap. I feel like it's difficult to control your speed and how high up you fly, which is not great for this level. Due to the void below, you need to be precise with where and how you fly so you can efficiently get all 8 red coins. Fortunately, they provide cannons to assist, but that's not enough to save how weird it feels to control the cap. Though the worst part is definitely the fact that if you fall off, you're taken to the castle's front lawn where the toads are doing the yard work or whatever, and now you're forced to climb all the way back up to the top floor just to try again. If you're skilled with the wing cap, this won't be too much of an issue since you just won't fall, but man, if you suck, then this star will be a nightmare. However, we haven't made it to the worst part of the third floor, Rainbow Ride. This is my least favorite 3D Mario level. I haven't played Galaxy 2 in forever, so I don't know anything about those, sorry. Thinking back to Tick-Tock Clock, that stage was fast-paced and difficult, which set the tone for the final level. Rainbow Ride decides to be slow and difficult, which is not a great combo. People hate the auto-scrollers within games, and yeah, I can agree, specifically because this stage taught me how to. The gimmick are these carpets you can ride to arrive at your next destination. But not only are they slow, but the ride takes forever to get to where you need to be. That house in the sky requires you to spend like 2 to 3 minutes sitting on a carpet, most often than not doing nothing, but sometimes the game forces you to do one simple jump with absolutely zero challenge to it. Now you may be wondering, I said there's still some difficulty in this world, and yeah there is, but mainly in one area. The flying ship sucks. Its carpet ride takes forever, the fire burning the carpet isn't fun to avoid, the wind is unnecessary on the ship, and you better hope you unlock the cannon if you're going for that star on the lone platform, or else I guess you'll have to restart. The one positive about this level I can give is that tiny platforming section is fun, but even then it's outclassed by Tick-Tock Clock. Rainbow Ride just sucks, I'm sorry. Overall, you get a mixed bag of a floor. One good stage and mini stage, one bad stage and mini stage. I would put Banjo Kazooie on this list, but I can't think of any part of that game that's outright bad, nor even average, and I'd rather not diss my GOAT, so we're going without it for today. I will talk about Banjo Tooie though, because I do have a least favorite section here. Pterodactyl Land. One of the biggest problems with Banjo Tooie is how long it takes to collect a single Jiggy, and there is no world that complements this idea more than Pterodactyl Land. So many of the collectibles take forever to get. Take the helping the Styracosaurus family. You need to bring Mumbo over to heal the sick one, take the tiny one with Banjo solo over to the train, get back Kazooie, take the train to the Isle of Hags and bring them back to normal with Mumbo, ride back to Pterodactyl Land, then go find the last kid of the family in Witchy World and take them back with the train. That is a lot, all for a single Jiggy. It doesn't seem fit for the work you put in, and it's honestly tiring. And that's not the only Jiggy that does this. The Oogle Boogles, saving Terry's kids, filling Divvy's waterhole. All of those take longer than I feel they should to get. And it doesn't help that there are some Jiggies that feel like complete filler, like the one beneath Terry's nest. Why is this here, genuinely? The level design is unintuitive. It's very open to make room for the Daddy T-Rex transformation that you use only twice, by the way, which leads to a lot of barren land being wasted. I'd also argue that the boss fight against Terry is on the weaker side, and the moves learned here are a bit half and half, being good or not. I like Taxi Pack, even if it's just a certified carry someone button combination. However, Hatch is actually just a puzzle solver with nothing else to it. Not to say there isn't anything good with this world, I still do enjoy my time here. The Rocknut Tribe is one of the best Jiggies in the game for how it gets you to explore the world. I also do enjoy finding Terry's kids, even if it takes forever. I think climbing up the mountain is fun, even if it's more of a linear path than anything, and the world, like Banjo Kazooie does always, nails its theme of being a prehistoric land filled with dinosaurs or T-Rexes. Overall, while I do find some issues in Pterodactyl Land, I hesitate to call it bad due to the things I like. And after all, it still is a Banjo Kazooie world. I'll find some enjoyment out of it. Though it's still easy to call this one the worst in the game. I've warmed up to Mario and Luigi Dream Team quite a lot ever since I replayed it around 2 years ago. I used to think it was the worst in the series, but no, I actually think it's the best now. I don't know, maybe it's because of the majestic feeling it gives to me due to the dream worlds. Who cares? We're here for the worst part of it. This is actually really easy, the Ultimate quest. Basically, to stop Bowser and Tasma, the gang needs to find the Z-Keeper in the dream world and request help. However, the only way to find it is by making the ulti bed and sleeping on it. This is learned through one of the worst dream world segments in the entire game in Pillow Castle's Dreams Deep area. The enemies are annoying, the atmosphere is bland, and though I think the ball's cool, it's not used that well in the game. After that, you have to go hunt down multiple parts of the ulti bed so you can create it. Each of these pieces have their own self-contained storyline, kinda. However, it suggests you go to the one found on Mount Pajamaja first, which means another tour with the Massive Brothers. They're a bit died down fast on the first tour, and having to listen to more is honestly annoying at worst and decently funny at best. The new ability they teach you also isn't anything special. This is just overall a boring climb and a boring dream world after it. I feel the same way about the mattress in Dozing Sands, only your time spent trying to get it is significantly shorter. It's just boring. Destroying the rocks on the Mushrise tree board is a bit more interesting and luckily doesn't take forever, but still I could live without it. The Z-Keeper feathers are found in Pillow Castle by fighting Grobot X, which is incredibly easy, though the novelty of refighting a boss is cool I guess. The Driftwood Jelly Sheets is decent at first, just exploring a cave, until the Fly Guys steal the item and you need to chase after them. For some reason, the old geezer who saw them run off won't tell you where they went without playing his crab game first, so you have to uselessly do that, and then confront them at Blimport, which starts what is apparently a boss fight. It's very easy if you're wondering. With all of those put together, all you need to do is find the bedsmith and put the whole bed together, which that part of the quest is fun, so I won't bring it up. The rest of this fetch quest is incredibly boring. It just feels like padding to a game that already feels long because of its tutorials. I honestly think it was tacked on last minute or something. Why is there this mythical item in Brickle's backyard? It's an overall staying on the goodish pacing of Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and I can definitely live without it. Maybe not the Girlbot X fight though, keep that required please. For anyone curious, my favorite game of all time is Super Mario Odyssey. I was starting to think it wasn't recently until I played it to 100% only around a month ago and enjoyed it a lot. So now that we're here talking about my favorite game, what is its worst part? Well, this one was actually pretty easy for me to pick. The Snow and Seaside Kingdoms. After the Metro Kingdom, they give you the choice to choose between these two, and unfortunately, I can't say they live up to the same standards the other major worlds have. We'll start with the Snow Kingdom since I usually pick that one first anyway. I think it's good overall, but definitely one of the worst in the game. For starters, the blizzard isn't really that fun to deal with. Fortunately, it only lasts a few minutes since you can immediately head into Shiveria where the second half of the kingdom is. Wait, what? They let you skip most of what this place has to offer? Why? I get that this place has like nothing to do in it, and the blizzard would make it annoying, but just remove the blizzard or something, I don't know. At least make the player do something up here, that way it isn't forgettable. Down in Shiveria, the Shiverians are sad about their cake being stolen and also the race entrance being blocked off or something. So you have to wander through 4 sub-areas that don't feel cohesive enough. Each one does have a gimmick, but they mostly feel underused. Once you unlock the race room, you can capture a Shiverian and participate in the Bound Bowl for a Grand Moon. After that, the kingdom's done. What? No boss fight? All we did was race and now the kingdom is mostly okay, just without its wedding cake? It feels like something is missing. I guess you could argue that you fight Rango earlier, but the most his fight changed from his Lake Kingdom counterpart was the floor being icy. Even then, the fight is just relatively easy. Overall, Snow Kingdom just feels incredibly forgettable compared to other worlds that leave a lasting impact on the player once they finish it up. So how about Seaside? Well, I do think it's better than Snow Kingdom. It does have a few problems that prevent me from enjoying it fully though. For starters, this kingdom isn't linear like the others, which may sound like a good thing, but instead it leads to the world ending really fast. You just head over to all the corks and shoot them onto the octopus that I don't know how to say the name of, and you fight them. After that, the kingdom is saved, I guess. This ties back in with the Snow Kingdom. There isn't a big enough impact left through Seaside due to its short length. Even then, if you were to remember it, it would probably be because of how gorgeous it looks instead of how it played, because that isn't great either. The swimming controls in Mario Odyssey are fine, if you capture it cheap. As just Mario, you swim incredibly slow, so trying to find moons underwater can feel like an absolute pain sometimes. Those are my biggest critiques of the kingdom, and though I have a few minor ones like the challenges leading up to the corks barely being challenging, I still do think this and Snow Kingdom are good. The gameplay hard carries these levels, and the moons are as fun as ever to find and collect. I just feel like these two kingdoms don't live up to the same hype as the others in the same game. That's all. Still good though, which is enough for me. Alright guys, be honest, we all had fun today, right? Yeah, I'm happy. Though I complained a lot today, I don't think I hate any of these games. They're my favorites after all, I really adore them. I encourage you, if you haven't played any of these, to go check them out yourself, especially Psychonauts. It's a very underappreciated masterpiece. If you want me to make a follow-up video going over more of my least favorite parts of the games I love, I will gladly do so. There's still quite a few I didn't include on this list because I forgot and didn't care to add them on. With all that out of the way, I hope you sleep well. Good night, folks.